All right, everybody, I would ask that when you speak, if you can lean forward, please. We've been trying to figure out the secret magic to make the YouTube videos more vocal for the folks that do watch staff. So I would like to call to order the Counties of Warren and Washington Industrial Development Agency meeting of 16 September 2024 at 4 p.m. Roll call, Ally, please.
Jenny Sullivan.
Here.
Nick Caimano.
Here.
Jim Nolan. John Taflin. Tim Robinson.
Here.
Dan Bruno.
Here.
Juan Gonzalez.
Here.
We have a quorum. We have 7 out of 10 so far.
Good. All right, everybody has received the read ahead, and that read ahead was the 19 August IDA meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Dan, second. Nick, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on with the treasurer's report. Tim, let's go with account payable approval.
Sure, on the accounts payable, if you could add $1,104 to the top line general services for August for 01/01/2024. That is a check that we'll be signing since we go through the invoices. I'll just point out the three large ones. New York State Local Retirement System, that's a catch-up number that we had to kick in for 22. We decided to pay it all at one lump sum rather than over time, which would have cost more money. And then the two labellas are reimbursable grants, one under the HUD and one under the NVRC. And those are for stormwater and wastewater. Not in that order. 25,000 for the wastewater, and then for stormwater flow monitoring was another labella for 70. Otherwise, everything looks good. And look for a motion to approve the payables.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. You ready to hand up?
Go ahead.
Did you, yeah, hand up too, but the FMPS, did you explain why there's more money than here?
It's zero here next. It doesn't show anything.
It's not 1,000.
No, that's Peter Hoffman.
Oh.
That's the round.
So
I just
of that, if
received.
You could add $1,104.
I thought
I'm asking you to approve that today. That's FMP.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, no.
I'm good.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's one more. We have to add a water bill for the Fort Edward for an outside park, $125 to this report. Do you remember what that?
What was the question?
How long?
That's our quarterly payment that we pay for the canal side. Yeah, correct.
So, additionally, quickly, so Labella's, that's what they built us.
Correct.
Very good. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? No, I'll take it for either.
Entertain a motion to accept the payable. Nick, second. Dan? Roll call, Ally.
Nick Caimano.
Yeah.
Jenny Sullivan. Jim Nolan.
Yes.
John Taflin. Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
Dan Bruno.
Yeah.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, year-to-date financial report, Tim.
Sure. Now you have the income statement first. We'll start with that. Through August 31st, 2024, you can see total revenues coming in at 425,000. 94,000 of that is made up of lot sales and some interest income off of money market. And then the other 330,000 is broken down. I would defer to Chuck at this point on the rail usage fees, why the large decrease. And Chuck explored that and got an explanation, and I'll let him share that with you.
So there's a couple issues going on with that line. You'll see we're at 50,000 year to date last year, now 12,000 year to date this year. Last year was overstated with some account receivable adjustments that our auditors did at the year end. And we also had a payment for the conveyor electrical services that hit this line that need to be reversed out on January 1st of this year. It was just simply booked to the wrong account. So that 50,000 was overstated, and this year's is understated because, well, it's a timing issue. This is up really through June activity. The July and August activity is not hit yet. And when you look at that activity and factor out the fact that we only are entitled to half that income, it would be another 21,000. So the timing wise, because we originally looked at this and said something's not right because we knew we were having high activity in the summer. The primary reason just a delay in the invoicing process. So we're a little overstated in 23 and a little understated in 24. Any questions?
And likely that'll come through in September, Chuck.
Well, there'll still be the delay with the billing activity. We seem to have a 2-month delay with the hitting. So it will depend on what activity.
Okay. And, you know, as a result, $425,000 and as far as $26,000 in income to support $329,000 in expenses, resulting in a year-to-date net income of 96. The non-operating expenses are water and taxes at the airport of $5,697, and the rest is operating expenses, $323,000. And you can see it's quite a difference from the prior year, mainly thanks to our nice lease income from canal side, and also the interest income coming from our money market. Before I take any questions on the income statement, I'll move to the balance sheet. Very strong cash position with over $2 million on deposit. 1.8 in money market, 259,000 in a general checking, and then an escrow account for our pilot payments, it's just a wash account of 14,000. We did ask last time in the minutes for clarification on this lease receivable. We did get, we do have an offset to it. However, we've got to call into the auditors to find out through Busy Bee bookkeeping and our auditors how to adjust for that monthly as the income comes in from canal side. You know, one account should be, both accounts should be going down at the same time. We will correct that or get that addressed before the next meeting, I anticipate. And then, so you see on the back page, page 2, the liability deferred inflows of resources, that would be adjusted. All in all, our net assets are 14 million, with about 2 million in liquid funds, and the rest in really property at canal. So I guess with that, I would open it up for any questions. Any other question?
I just want to note one item. If those that like to compare years, if you look at 2023 revenue, there is $150,000 there that we did receive from the CDC. So if you're trying to do apples to apples comparison, that's a good one to take away as you look and as far as what our income is normally with the lease income, with the rail, and then with application fees. So
Right, but the 150 was in 23.
Right,
So
yeah.
Your loss would even be greater.
yes, and that's the point. If you took that out, the loss and the gap of what we've made this year compared to last year is even more substantial. So just want to note that. Thanks. All right, any further discussion? I would entertain a motion to accept the year-to-date financial report. Dan, second, Jen. Roll call vote, Ally, since Nick is gonna ask for.
Jenny Sullivan, Nick Caimano, Jim Nolan, John Tafflin, Tim Robinson,
Yeah.
Dan Bruno, Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passes. All righty. Reports from committee. Dan, take us away, get us started.
Okay. Regarding canal side, we had our bi-weekly meeting with Labella on September 4th, and I'll touch on a few of the items there. We need to develop a district for the water, and that's being done, I believe. I don't know If Kara, you had any input for that, or they have to form a district for this?
Right, I mean, that has it, the documentation steps haven't started. I'm working with Matt Fuller on a schedule with all the municipalities involved. It's like a few
Complex.
meetings to,
Yeah.
to navigate, so
Right.
we'll probably report back with, our plan is to report back with a proposed schedule.
Good, so we'll get that district formed, and get the water, the sewer. Matt Fuller has also drafted a timeline. And for that, Barb Deal, who works for LaBella, she does their environmental stuff, she's gonna put together a memo outlining the to-do list for the environmental stuff. And additionally, Paul Guillet will be add to the schedule detail for the canal permits, things we need permitted in order to get the work done. Construction documents, plans, and specs are in pretty good shape, moving along. And we also they're required, Lavella is to monthly, quarterly reporting for MWBE, business enterprise, and they're doing that. Well, things are moving along there, hopefully. We are on schedule. Kiewit, our tenant at the site, was cited by DEC regarding their fuel farm. And DEC decided that the tanks, as they were supported, was not adequate. They're on the asphalt. So anyway, long story short, they came up with a design. Kiewit did, their engineers came up with a design for a concrete slab. Mr. Bart and I went out, reviewed it with them. We okayed it. As long as DEC is okay, they're gonna have to remove some pavement, pour a concrete slab, move the fuel tanks. They have 2 off-road diesel and 2 on-road diesel and a gasoline tank, and move that stuff over. Hopefully all will be well. But other than that, they're doing well. And the mowing and addressing the vegetation around the site is pretty well. I don't know. If you talk with Everett, we got some bigger trees there that have gotten out of hand, so to speak. We want to clear those off as well.
Yeah, so we are gonna first go out and identify the trees, we're gonna tag them, put some ribbons on them, and then talk with Everett about the capability to get those trees down. If he can't do it, then we might outsource it, so more to come. They're large trees, and want to make sure that we don't assign jobs that he is not capable for, so we're gonna speak with him if he's. And the other thing too is we can only do this in a certain time frame because trees greater than 3 inch. There's New York State rules about taking trees down that large because of bat migration. So there's actually a window of opportunity in the winter that will be going after those trees. It might be 25 activity rather than 24. Again, more to go.
Keep your eyes open. Bats. Careful. Don't get in their way. So that's good. And last thing regarding canal side is our electric, and they're dealing with the substation, etc. I think we're in good shape there.
Yeah, want me to jump into it a little bit?
Go ahead.
So our electric conducted testing with the subcontractor on July 29th. The preliminary report that came out on August 19th indicated there's no major issues, but we are waiting for the final report with the transformer oil test results, and that report is expected very soon. So thus far, the assessment has been, the results have been encouraging. We're not finding any major problems so far.
This substation has been somewhat neglected over the years. We took ownership, we're just trying to get current with all required inspections, make sure that that's it for there, and, regarding Airport Industrial Park, I don't want to steal Mr. Barton's thunder, but I'll just start a little. Then you have everybody have this map. We have 8 commercial lots remaining for sale. And some of those are impacted a little bit by wetlands. But,
Yeah, it's 24 acres total, yellow. The developable portion is only 16 acres. This map doesn't show it, but there are certain lots that are impacted by wetlands.
And other than that, anybody has any questions? Take them. My report.
All right, any further questions? We'll go down the line. A lot of, we did divide and conquer on a few items. I will jump in on the bridge. Chuck and I did attend a meeting with the county and the village on the bridge to provide an update to the village. That went well. The county believes, as well as the engineers, that we have enough to respond to the public comments from the last public hearing. And then once that is complete, they'll be looking to trying to wrap up the public outreach process, and they will also be looking to get the state's concurrence during the review of the report and plans, as well as a highway work permit for the detour. So progress there. Again, reminder, the bridge is 2026, slated for 2026 as you come into Canal Side. So continuing to make progress in the pre-construction of that project. Any questions on the bridge? Anything I missed, Chuck?
Nope, good.
All right, moving on down, Canal Side maintenance update. Have anything, Chuck?
The only thing else I'll mention is Mr. Bruno talked about the DEC violation. We did receive an email a little earlier today that they have reached out to DEC looking for approval for their solution, which is a concrete pad as opposed to the asphalt. Assuming the DEC gets back favorably, then they'll continue to work on handling that violation and get it taken care of. That's it.
All right.
And question there, these are fuel trucks, right?
Fuel tanks.
Fuel tanks that they
It's
actually.
like a skid mounted. They're mounted on.
They didn't know they turned this pump.
Yeah, their engineering has been very thorough, and it is a bit of a surprise that this is a problem. And part of it too could be the regulation. So Mr. Green might be able to shed more light.
These are normally, that's the way you buy them, the design for this, spread the load out. DEC is alleging that they'll possibly, in warm weather, something sink into the pavement. Who knows? As you can tell, my attitude. I don't agree with them at all, but they're, well, I mentioned to Hewitt's engineer, which he already knows. I said, why didn't you just lift those up a little and slide some plates on it to distribute the weight a little more? And he said, I did mention that, you see, and they're not prepared for that, so.
Yeah, I don't think it's, that could be part of it, but I think it's that because the asphalt is so coarse that any spill.
No, their contention was that the things would sink into the asphalt. I agree with that. But,
Yeah, the asphalt's not as strong as a concrete pad.
Correct. Well, that too, but yeah, at the same time, it
That's
won't go
their-
through concrete.
their issue.
The other ironic thing is that this project's gonna be done in a year and a half, so it's not like those tanks are gonna be there for any years, so they're gonna be removed sometime next year probably, but it
I was
is
just
what it is.
But additionally, to your point, sort of, the berm, when you have fuel storage, there are requirements for spillage. In other words, you have to maintain containment, so I think it's 1.2 times the maximum volume of your storage tanks. And the berms that they put in there for containment are asphalt. So DC didn't say anything about that. Anyway, so, but they're dealing with it, they're good. I gotta give you credit, they forge ahead and they do a good.
All right, anything else on Canal Side maintenance?
I would mention, I forgot, our next meeting with Lavella is this Wednesday. 1 o'clock.
All right, Canal Side tenant activity, Chuck.
Okay, on the tenant activity, our electric has asked for some possible leaf modifications, and so we decided to bring in CBRE to review their suggestions and then get back and report to us as a board. So that is underway and more to come. And that's it on that particular topic. Moving on to soil storage. So as you might remember, CHP EQ had asked us for permission to do soil storage on site. We approved with the contingency that we bring in our engineer to review their plans. They are now working through all of the issues, and they have Dan and Mr. Bruno and Andrew Millsbaugh from Sterling Engineer and I have conducted 4 site inspections, and they, Kiewit, have also been dealing with CSX and some of their stipulations. And finally, we got through meeting everyone's stipulations, and the storage activity has now started and is proceeding as expected. So
CSX is involved because a lot of the route for the power transmission is along their right. So any soil that comes out of there is.
it's their soil, and they have some rules. Wherever it comes from, it has to be segregated, it has to be covered. So there's, along with our stipulations, there are their stipulations. So there's a lot going on here to make sure the soil storage is being done properly. So everything is underway, and we're so far so good. Any questions?
None. So if you haven't had a chance to get over to Canal Side, or if you'd like a tour, let Chuck know, and we'll get you over there. It's that's every 3 months. It's, there's more added. It's just very impressive right now what's going on. And if you're lucky, like I did was last week when I had Amy with me, the big rails coming out and down the canal, you'll be able to witness that as well. That's pretty fascinating. Good. All right. Airport Industrial Park.
There's a couple more things on the tenant activity. Our current real estate service agreement with CBRE ends in mid-October. So per AVO protocol, we are going to be releasing an RFP for the real estate services starting after the current arrangement CBRE expires. They, of course, will probably be one of the bidders. We are expecting to deal with other industrial brokers such as NAI, Berkshire Hathaway, Pyramid Brokerage Company, part of Cushman Wakefield. So we'll competitively bid the real estate services for the next 3 years. We hope to have the winning bid determined by the next week. And then the other thing I mentioned is that New York State ESD continues to periodically contact us with site selection opportunities. They come and they go. If anything gets serious, we'll be, of course, letting you know and starting to involve CBRE or whoever is our real estate service provider at the time. And that's it for tenant activity.
Anybody have anything for Chuck on tenant activity? All right, Airport Industrial Park update.
Okay, so the map that Mr. Bruno referred to, Ally and I put this together as we're working on the notification to our neighbors about us interested in disposing of the wetlands and selling the commercial land. So we thought that with that notice, it'd be helpful to have this map. One thing that occurred to Ally and I as we were working on this is, are we at a point where it makes sense for us to get an appraisal for these lots? Because as you know, when we go to do disposition of property, we need an appraisal. So I talked with our chairman today, and we'd like to suggest that we go ahead and get an appraisal of these 3 lots for the eventual disposition. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I wasn't clear with that. The 3 lots I'm grouping, you have the 2 green areas, which are the wetland impacted areas. And then you have the yellow area, and that is actually 8 lots, but we are going to try to sell this as one large lot. So we'll ask the group doing the appraisal to appraise it as one entire parcel to be sold, and ask if it would be divided, what would the appraisal impact be if only one or 2? The yellow.
Not those 2 great.
Well, everything on here. The greens we're looking to get rid of. These are the wetlands.
I just said.
So we need an appraisal for the wetland impacted lots.
What are you gonna use?
Well, I'm not sure who we're gonna use that, but we do have a person that Mr. O'Brien relied on, so we'll probably reach out to that person. I don't know, Ally, if you remember his name.
Gallagher? It's the only thing that comes to mind. That's all I have.
Sorry, good job. So we do have a firm.
Another one we have to put up there.
No. That is the search. We have a continuing arrangement with this group, and it's typically a few $1,000.
Yeah, if I could ask a question, as part of that, you mentioned to me earlier that the road is not developed beyond the first yellow lot at the top, right?
That's correct.
And so whose responsibility is that? It's the IDA, right?
Well, it's a great question. So this is one of the reasons we'd like to sell everything at one time, because the 4 utilities come up to the property line. So we have electricity, natural gas, water, and sewer. So that if we sell to one purchaser, then they'll be able to feed off those points for utilities. If we sell a portion, then we have to work out, what do we do about the road? Now, would we pay for it, or would the purchaser of the land? Typically, the purchaser of the land, and if we did it, we would make the purchaser of the land reimburse us. So it's certainly simpler if we try to market this all together rather than divide it into individual costs.
Nick, yeah, I'm
I'm gonna do some real trade.
Well, there's a 16 developable acres.
But need somebody that want all those 16.
Correct, correct. And if somebody comes in and says they want 8 of the 16, we'll cross that bridge accordingly. And if they do that, we could take the northern portion and have sort of a Y entrance and still have the utilities feed off and not have to put the road in. I think we do want to try to avoid the road if we can.
But either way, we'll pass that cost.
Correct.
It's not an issue with the rates of the sewer district with anything that's, right, if we got out of them, we wouldn't be paying those, am I correct on that? I mean, so time is of the essence too in controlling our costs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is why he was asking for a board approval of an appraisal to get, which is the first step of all the variables that we just discussed.
Is
All
that
right,
what you're asking
Brian,
for?
I would entertain a motion for the appraisal. Brian, second. Nick. All, wait, do we need a roll call? Kelly, roll call.
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Ginny Sullivan, Nick Caimano, Jim Nolan, Trisha Rogers, John Tafflin, Tim Robinson, Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Then, once we have the appraisal, we'll continue the notification for our neighbors. Any other questions about airport industrial park?
All right, I would, same thing with the Canal Side Park. If you haven't had a chance to tour, and if you're interested in seeing more than just a page, please let Chuck know, and we'll get a tour going, and he's mastered that tour. I think Tricia was the last one on that tour, so there's a lot of good information, and it really.
You know, since your tour, we cut a path, a walking path, and encouraged you can come back and you go on a hike. We can have a picnic table in the back and we'll have luncheon back there.
It's liability politics.
I was gonna say, we're long hands.
All right, we're making great time. All right, we will close out at Airport Industrial Park unless there are any final questions. All right, moving on to ongoing business. Everything under foot closing update. Let's see if, start with Ally if we have anything.
I have not heard anything.
Sarah?
It's my understanding it's gonna close, by the end of this month, so we're going back and forth with documents now, so I spoke to their attorney this morning, so they're just kind of, they're waiting on a survey, which I believe is one of the last pieces, that's what they're telling me. So I may be calling you and saying we have to sign that.
I'm ready. No external travel the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Good. Any questions on everything on the foot closing out?
I did confirm today that the price, the scope of the work and the cost has not changed since the time of the application. And they did think it would take approximately 1 year for completion. So I will put, the expiration date out to the end of 2020, 1 year from now, so.
Good.
2025.
All right, hopefully we'll have a very nice update next board meeting. All right, Adirondack Radiology, Cary Road Medical Building Application Update, start with Ally. No updates?
No.
Carol?
So,
Same on the chat? All right.
Well, the one meeting was,
Uh,
one meeting we missed, and then the
Well,
second.
so as you might recall, the counties need to consent for athletic radiology. And the issue with the committees in both counties, back on August 21st, Kara and I were told to go to Warren County Economic Development and Growth Committee meeting at 10 o'clock. We showed 10 o'clock. They moved it up to 9 o'clock and we missed the meeting.
Better than ours that you made.
Well, but they passed it. There was no problem.
Good thing you weren't.
So, yeah, good thing I wasn't there. So obviously the written documentation, answered any questions. So thank you for, and I understand that will be going to Warren County Board of Supervisors this Friday. Now, Washington County, it was a little bit different. It was last Thursday. Mr. Campbell was chair, Mr. Nolan was there, and we had a lot of questions that came up, from supervisor from Kingsbury, supervisor from Cambridge, and supervisor from Hartford, just asking questions about the financial conditions of these applicants, asking about clawback provisions. So we fielded the questions, and then finally, Mr. Campbell brought up to vote, and it did pass with everyone saying yes. I don't know if anybody abstained or not. And I don't know if you have any comments about that conversation that occurred.
I think the conversation was more out of despising the idea than it was out of.
I do
So,
too.
I mean, it was, you gotta remember this open MRI, it was very interesting because one of our officials was there, had to leave the meeting to go to Athletic radiology for an MRI, and he thought it quite funny, the discussion. But 100% of all the residents in both counties and the counties around us are beneficiaries of that being there.
Yeah.
And there's very few things that ever come in front of any board that is actually beneficial for everyone involved. To me, that's a no-brainer, and I wouldn't care who is financing it or how. That should have been a near unanimous vote, if not unanimous, but. And we got there. I think it was just more making the point that, you know, we just like you. That's. Which is kind of sad.
I might add, that the supervisor question, shall remain nameless. Part of that person's position is that wasn't creating any jobs and so on, so you explain that. But I think what won the day with everyone is the fact that there's job creation and there's also benefit to the citizens of Exeter counties. And we talked about the fact that you don't have to go into tube, which costs the kilometers. And I think a lot of people appreciated that, especially the person who's going into tube.
Okay.
So the county committees have submitted those to the full board?
The finance committee approved it unanimously, and it's going now to the Washington County Board of Supervisors also this Friday. And Kara and I have decided to go along with the applicant at Hanchett, who you've probably met a couple times. He will be there just in case there are questions. We'll probably get there and there'll probably be no questions, but if there are questions, we'll be there for the questions. And just as a reminder for Washington County, there is no financial impact. Property taxes are Queensbury and the sales tax is Warren County, but anyway, still some philosophical differences about the idea, perhaps.
Look at that face for you. I'll be trying as well.
Okay, super.
Good.
Yeah, so there we go.
So what is the proper term when the committee sends it to the full board?
What is the proper what, term?
Term, yeah.
Or-
They refer to the full. board.
Yes, well, you pass a resolution to get it to the full. And we did,
So what's the term again?
The
we
resolution.
had to pass a resolution to get it. To the full.
Okay, No, we just want to make sure we're writing this correctly without trying to presume anything. So as something goes from committee to the full board, the way we write it is
That resolution gets moved. to
the resolution is moved to the full board. Okay, perfect. All righty. Anything else on Adirondack radiology? New business. Do we have any new business? All right, my favorite part, the staff reports. We start with Chuck.
Okay, I'll try to go through quickly, and I'm gonna skip things on our list that we've already talked about. Back, and this will be from August 19th through September 16th today. On August 21st, attended the Lake George Chamber Mixer at the Oak Room in Bolton. That's a whiskey distillery company, and they do make some good bourbon, just for the record. I bought a bottle, after, of course. Then, sorry, shouldn't go there. So back and then on August 23rd, toured the manufacturing related business with the Canal Side Industrial Park. We're still waiting to hear back. If they're interested, if they are interested, then we'll take it to the next step. Then on August 27th, met with a large manufacturer in Washington County who's interested in understanding the IDA programs for potential growth. Again, it's just one of those meetings talking with a potential applicant, and we'll see if they come back with a specific interest. Then we already talked about the soil storage. I'll skip that. We talked about the bridge replacement meeting. I'll skip that. Then back on September 4th, we had another tour at Canal Side with potential manufacturing prospect. And then on the 9th, we had that fuel farm tour that we just talked about. We talked about the Washington County Finance Committee meeting. On September 12th, I attended the Johnsburg Comprehensive Plan Workshop meeting held by the Lake Champlain Lake George Regional Planning Board. This is a natural component for comprehensive plans when you invite the community in a workshop to give feedback, and that was a very productive session. And then finally today, I was asked to attend Salem Economic Development Committee by the town supervisor, Sue Clary. They have some interesting projects up there. Nothing specific time, but something next year or so to pop out from that. There's a lot happening. So well, relative. So that yeah, she actually took me to the building and we looked at it. It's quite impressive. This building. Yeah, it's 17,000 square feet, she said.
I think it's a training facility too.
Yep. It'll be good for sale. Yeah. So moving on to what I call my engagements. Is there a question? Who's Hudson Head Waters?
That'll be good, except no tax. Income from that. Just like all the rest.
Figure out $100,000
To the citizens.
A lot of good
Yeah.
jobs.
Good for them, but I just want to remind everybody, you know, you can do a lot when you don't have to pay any taxes. Take that money you keep giving to the municipality, put it in there.
Okay, moving on. Okay, as far as my engagements, year to date through Friday, there's been 77 engagements. 26 manufacturing distribution, 14 tourism and recreation, 9 hotel and resort, 1 food and beverage, 11 housing or mixed use, 3 energy, 1 medical, and 12 other. Of those 77, I've estimated 9 would be 2024 applications. We've had 4 so far, and I think we could have another 2 before year end. And remember, when I do this count, they could be counts I did back in January that may not have materialized. So it occurred to me, you're probably going to ask, if I'm saying 9 in 2024, and we haven't had 9, why? And that's just because sometimes they slide to 2025. But as far as, again, the applicants or the prospects of 77, 9 in 2024, possibly 11 applications in 2025, 40 are completely unknown. And then 17, I'm not expecting any application from the engagement. As far as our pipeline, we have 23 projects in the pipeline. We have 7 manufacturing distribution. We have 3 in tourism recreation. We have 7 in hotel and resort, 4 in housing, 1 in mixed use, and 1 potential bond project. Of those projects, we have 5 who are actually working on their application. So I am expecting an application from these companies either in 24 or 25. We have 6 that are considering whether or not to do an application. We have 12 that are still early stage exploring what they're going to do. So that's the total of the 23 projects. And we have 10 projects in the past year that have gone inactive. And just as a reminder, that's natural, right? They, for one reason or just another, may decide not to go forward with the project. So that's it for my report, unless there are any questions.
Yeah, so like on the ones that we've approved though, that we've got there. are All of those underway, some of them still not started, I know underfoot is still not ready.
Well, everything underfoot's not in here, nor is AR, no, Adirondack Radiology is not on account. I've taken them out because the application's been processed. So the 23 I just talked about are applications that not yet have been.
Right, so what about the ones though that we've actually approved, they actually started work, like there was a marina?
Yeah, the marina, they built last year, they built one of the 2 storage facilities. Now they're gonna build their second one now, which might be done soon for their winter storage.
Okay, and then there was an agricultural group too.
There was,
Yes.
Yes, that building is built and
Okay,
they
so-
moved their equipment in. They're about to start commissioning. I've been offered a tour when they're gonna start commissioning. I'll take some pictures, come back and talk to them about that.
It's always interesting because we see,
Yeah,
we approve, but what becomes of it?
yeah, and that was with native development, as native
Yes.
development, industrial park, and the Hoods, smart company from California is the company that's. So yes, well underway.
So how often are you looking for an update? I know we do the annual one but
Well,
if this,
it's just like somewhere we should be.
Yep.
I just don't know how to go about it. I'm sure you'll know the way.
We've actually talked internally about, when you look at ABO requirements, they asked us to circle back on projects, and there are certain things we do, but what we haven't done is site tours. So we're gonna start the site tours for the most recent projects.
Yeah.
And then write a report on it, so more to come up, which is exactly correlates with what you
Well,
were mentioning.
I think that helps too, that people realize that we're actually accomplishing
Right.
something that they're here. They're not just being talked about and giving away your sales tax. So that there's actually something that's born out of this.
That's a good idea. Bring along 2 people,
Mr. Reed.
newspaper or some press and her, Tricia, you know, that's the first shot. Got to get them into.
Yeah.
Shark Tank.
Yeah, it's just so,
To be it, that's be done.
okay, delete other.
And it can be part of your website,
Report out, yes.
you know, it'd be nice that every time there's a tour or something, it's, that's put right out there for all the professionals to see. I think that's great.
all right. Anybody have anything else for our CEO? All right, Ally, you're up.
I just have a couple things. So the school taxes have gone out to all of our projects. There's 21 of them. 6 have paid us already and we're moving along. I also wanted to remind everyone that if they have been certified through their various places of work in the sexual harassment prevention and workplace violence prevention, to give that certification to me and I can check you off my list. That's all I had.
See Friday, 10 o'clock. At Bureau. Thank you.
Okay, or you can do it right from your laptop at home. Either way, you're free to come to the office. I'm-
To be there.
Okay, the ABO. Okay, but just to let everyone know, if you do register for the ABO webinar, you can do it wherever you have a laptop.
And they have specific days. I think the September ones were already filled when we looked a couple weeks ago. They would be off October, November. Good. Does anybody have anything for Ally? Any other business? Any public comments?
No,
Anybody else?
No.
Anybody wishes to be heard? Does anybody wish to speak? I've been called for public comment speak time and hearing none. I would entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting. Brian, second. Nick, all in favor? Motion passes. All right, thank you. We're adjourned.